Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm American Dan, and this is Wings and Rex. So, if you've been following the flight sim community for a while, recently you would have seen a lot of talk about the fly-by-wire Airbus A380. I'm not really an airline guy. I usually stick to helicopters and GA stuff, but I do like the A380 just because that's such a big sumbitch, and it's just a marvelous example of human ingenuity to be able to get something that big to fly. So I went ahead and downloaded the plane, and I have loaded it up just to make sure to load and program the FMS to make sure I knew how to do that. I do want to start off by noting that on the Fly-by-Wire website, they do say that this is a current ongoing project still in development, and some of the features may not work. All right, let's go ahead and check out the plane here. All right, here we go. We're loaded up in Miami in some random parking spot. Probably not designed for this big airplane, but hey, we'll make it work. I mean, look at how huge this thing is. I mean, those are what, Airbus or 737s over there, and they're just like tiny little bathtub toys compared to this big old sumbitch. I mean, this thing is just huge. It's got 3 decks. The bottom deck is a cargo deck, and then it's got 2 passenger decks. Um, And they did model the interior of this airplane. We'll get to that in a minute here. But I mean, the level of detail on this thing is just phenomenal. Let me switch to the drone camera here. I'm not very good at flying this drone either, so forgive me for my shitty camera work. I mean, look at the level of detail on these engines. Like that's freaking cool. Very nice textures. It comes with 2 liveries. This is the fly-by-wire house livery, and then they have one that let's just say is a little more colorful, but it's not my style. So if you want to check that one out, go ahead and download the plane for yourself. I mean, the level of detail they put into this thing is flipping amazing. Look at those tires. Like, that's crazy. Look at the landing gear assembly, everything. I mean, it just looks phenomenal. Alright, enough drooling about the outside of the airplane. Let's go ahead and see what the inside looks like. Bam! It looks like an Airbus, that's for sure. Different looking MCDU or whatever they call their flight management system. Nice detail on the cockpit. Most of these things are real easy to read. We just go up here and take a look at the overhead panel. Nice and easy to read. Very nicely done. We got their tablets there. We'll get into that here in just a second. We got the 3 jump seats back here, and you can actually make these things do shit. Alright, before we get into the tablet and all the avionics and stuff, let's go ahead and take a walk through the cabin. Alright, so this is the upper deck. This is where all the rich folks that can spend a shit ton of money on their plane tickets get to ride. It's got the like the private walls there and everything. This is done really nicely. This little part right here, though, is what I noticed walking through the cabin is you kind of get a little bit of glitchy on the graphics. I don't know if that's just me or if that's something to do with the plane. And then back here we have the another class of cabin. Still some pretty nice seats. I mean, you got your drinks and all that. And looks very nice. They did a very good job modeling this. I just can't get over the size of this thing. It's huge. I could live in this thing. Wouldn't that be a hell of a man cave? I guess even if you're at the back of the plane on the upper deck, you're still traveling in style. Okay, so we dropped down to the main passenger cabin here. And this is kind of a more standard airline outlet or outline of proceeding. Still massively huge. Like this thing carries like 400 or 500 people, which, if you think about it, 500 people on one airplane is just insanity. Very nicely done. And the fact that it's free, these people, I can't imagine the hours that people put in to do this, and then to give it away free to the community. That's, you got props on my behalf. Anything that's free, it's me. I think this is like business class. All right, and now we're back at the front of the plane, and we'll walk up the steps to the cockpit. All right, now that we've checked out the cool interior there, well, now we're back in the cockpit. Let's put on some power to the airplane just so we can take a look at these avionics. So if we go over here and we click on this fancy little tablet thing here, I did make a flight plan from Miami to Cali, Colombia, just to show what you can do here. So we'll import the sim brief data. And bam, look at that. All right, over here it shows us our route, which would be Miami 08 left to the Manor 3 departure to Fundy, and then the Uniform 335, Uniform Mike 335 to Alvex, and then Uniform Mike 328 to UCL, and then Airway Uniform Golf 448 to Golf Charlie Mike, Uniform Lima 465 to Tango Bravo Golf, Uniform November 420 to Busmo, and then direct to Asico, and then the ASIC 1 Charlie into Columbia 02. So it gives you your flight plan right there. Cool beans. Gives you your weather here at Miami, 2997, winds 90 degrees at 16 knots, temperature 28, dew point 23. If you like it that way, you can change it to the just like the raw METAR data. I think the graphics look better. Alright, if we go down here, we can get a look at the actual dispatch form, and you can check out all your sim brief maps and stuff right there. Cool. This is where some of the magic happens here. It's already downloaded all of the payload stuff here, so if we go to boarding here and we start boarding, I have it set on instant just to save time on the video, and bam, it loads the passengers. But what's going on here? We are like way over maximum takeoff weight here, so that must be a fuel thing. So what we'll do is we'll go over here to fuel, and then bam, it's got our sim brief amount of fuel we'll need compared to what this thing can hold. That thing looks almost empty. That's crazy. Alright, so if we went back up now to the payload, we see we've dropped our maximum takeoff weight down to the within the acceptable range. Services over here, we can open the door and do the jet bridge. I'm not parked next to a jet bridge. I assume this works if you are parked to a jet bridge, but let's go ahead and click on the ground power unit. And I don't know if a catering truck or anything just shows up, or if you have to have an add-on to that. I haven't tried any of that yet. Alright, so up on the overhead here we have external power 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that should make stuff start coming to life. Doing its safety test. Those on nav, nav, and nav. And that reminds me that I learned that I had a difficult time messing with the autopilot when I was just playing around with it, because Airbus uses that push and pull thing. So I had to change my mouse input to the legacy instead of the modern, and then you get these up and down arrows that allow you to engage and disengage different functions of the autopilot. It takes 6 minutes for this thing to align, which isn't bad. I think I have it on short, maybe not realistic, but you can also change that to instant if you want. And why is my number 2 throttle like all the way crazy? There we go. So far everything is pretty standard to Airbus. My only experience in the Airbus is the TOLWS A321neo for X-Plane, but everything looks about the same. I'm going to go through all the way up to starting the engines, I think, in this video, and then we will actually do a flight in a different video. Otherwise this would be like a 3-hour video. So I think we'll break it up a bit. First thing we need to do is we need to start our APU so we can have APU bleed air. So what we'll do here is we'll go APU master on, and that brings up the APU screen down here, and now it says flap open, so we'll go up here and we'll hit the APU start button, and I always arm the emergency exit lights while I'm here, otherwise I forget, and turn on the beacon light. We can see the N1 rising in that APU. There's the light off. there she goes. Alright, it says available. So that means we can go up here and hit the APU bleed. And you hear the air conditioning start to come on. We still have 3 minutes for the inertial reference to be aligned. So I normally go grab a cup of coffee or something here, so we'll just wait a few minutes and then we will show you how to import the information into the flight management system and start the engines. We'll be right back. Alright, we're back and the inertial navigation thing is aligned. And the map is live here. There is checklists here in the tablet. I'm horrible about using checklists in the flight sim. So we got cockpit preparation, gear pins and covers removed, fuel quantity, we did check that, seatbelt sign on. Check. And there's a setting here that once you do it, you can, it'll automatically do that. I don't have that set. Borrow a reference. Okay. If we go back to this one, 2998. So 2992, we need to go up a little bit. 2998, there we go. Groovy. Make a note also that this is a very system intensive airplane. Now I don't run a top of the line system. Mine's almost 10 years old by now. I've got a i7 processor and a NVIDIA 1080 video card, so not the greatest system. If you've got one that runs like top of the line, you know, 4090 or something like that, there's a 8K version of this airplane you can use and it'd probably look a whole lot better than this. Alright, back to business. Alright, so what we want to do now is go back to our checklist, and we've done the borrow reference. Okay, so before start, parking brake is on. Takeoff speeds and thrust, check both, and beacon. Alright, I have the beacon on, but I did not do that yet. So, how do we do that, you might ask? We go down to this thing. And then we go to active init. And what is one of my favorite things that I discovered about this airplane is you can use your keyboard. Once you click in that box there and it's highlighted, you can type in your flight number. For just messing around here at the UPS 1544. And then you can either fill out all of this or you can cheat like me and go company flight request. Up here it'll say uplink in progress. And then we just wait a minute for this thing to talk to SimBrief. Cue the Jeopardy music. Alright, that message is gone. So now you go back up here to received company flight and you hit insert and it'll go Miami to Cali, Columbia. Now, the trip wind, I'm not exactly sure how that's done. I haven't messed with that. I assume that you just type in like 090 at 50 knots or 30 knots or whatever. be on your flight plan. But some of the features aren't currently working, so like the company wind request and company takeoff data request and the route summary, all those are grayed out at the moment. So what I would do from here is I go to flight plan, just make sure that it put the flight plan in there. It's got the flight plan in there without the arrival. We'll get to that in just a minute, but before I forget, I want to go to the perf page. Okay, so this is a big bird. So flaps 1 I just don't think is gonna do it. We're gonna go flaps 3. And I want like full thrust. Cause why not? I think you can only go like 99.9 though. There we go. Packs on, no anti-ice. We're in Florida, it's not cold. We're good to go. And then we're gonna do toga, not flex. So we'll leave it on toga, and then that makes our flap speed, flaps and slats. Clear that. Alright, so that's in there. Manage 250 below 1000 or 10,000, 1000. Cruise 0.82 is what it's managed. We'll go to descent. It should say 0.84, 276. Okay. 350 feet a minute cabin pressure descent rate. Sure, why not? Alright, so now I'm going to go back to the tablet here, and we're going to check off that we did the thrust thing, or yeah, the takeoff speeds. And we're going to go back here and we're going to look at this. So the wind at Cali, Columbia right now is 360 at 10 knots. And I'm going to put this in. You're going to want to double check that once you get closer to your destination when you get the ATIS, and if it's changed, you're going to want to change that because that will make a difference in your VREF speeds. $360 at 10 knots. And we'll do full flaps. And what is the borrow minimums for, let's say, the ILS? Oh, you know what? I can actually do this a different way and show you folks another little trick here. I use a tablet for all this stuff, but if you don't have that, there is the option to do this and go from and to. Should give you Alfonso Bonilla, and then we'll go to the approach charts. We'll go ILS number 2, so you can change that stuff, and then you just click on it and drag it down to your MDAs. Minimum decision height of 3770. And we're missing the outside air temperature in the QNH. Outside air temperature be 23 degrees and the QNH is 29 or 9 or 1. 29 or 9 or 1. Alright, there we go. So that's it for the perf page. We check fuel and load. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we've done the fuel load, the wind is grayed out, we've done the init, we've done the pref, now it's time to go to the flight plan. Most of it's already in there, but we do need to put in our departure, and we're departing 8 left. On the main or 3, or main or 2. With the fundy transition, and then you go temporary flight plan, everything looks good, insert, cool beans, come down here, all the way down to the bottom, and there's a discontinuity because there's no arrival there. So if we click on here, we go to arrival, we're landing runway 2, we're going to do the ILS Yankee, and then we're going to do the S-1 Charlie, and we don't have a transition, and the VIA is Loman, or Lomim. Enter, insert, take a look here, and that's the approach, and then everything looks good there. Cool. And I think we're done with the flight management system here. Let's go ahead and start the engines, and then maybe we can adjust the trim. So back up to the overhead. Now, one thing we want to make sure we do is turn on all the fuel pumps, and there is a lot. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Damn. Turn on our batteries. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Should have done that earlier. Test our fire lights. That's not modeled. All right. The wipers work. Alright, now we're ready to start this bad boy up. What I like to do is I like to go down here, change this over to the engine panel, and then up here we want to go to engine start and ignition, and then this is like the easiest thing in the world. Click number 1. We see it start to come to life, and then if we take a look outside, we can see that bad boy start spinning. And then, because it's an Airbus, and you don't have to introduce fuel or anything, it's all automatic. Once you flip the start switch, pretty soon that engine's going to spoil up. And if we go back inside and take a look, sure enough, that engine is coming to life. We're at 65.1, 54.3, and 800 on the fuel flow. That's normal. That is a good start on engine number 1. Do the same thing to engine number 2. And we see it start to rise. Then there's fuel flow. And we start to see the oil pressure come up. And this is all off the APU. Like, I guess you could turn on the engine bleed and maybe the second start would be a little faster. I'm not sure. But 2 is started, and then we'll do the same thing for 3. And that third big ol' engine started up. Now we're gonna have a problem here. That truck is parked like halfway in our engine cowl. So let's just say Microsoft doesn't know where to put their vehicles. But anyways, we should be able to figure our way around that. We'll go back inside and flip the switch for number 4. And number 4 is started, despite the bad parking job by the truck driver. And now that you see that the engine started, the rest of the flaps have come down. Man, this thing's huge. And we're still connected to the power truck there. All 4 engines are started and stable and look awesome. So we'll go up top here. We'll turn off the APU bleed. And then we'll turn off the APU master switch. I guess the logo light's not modeled. We'll test the lights. Pretty little Christmas tree there. Alright, we have got a good start on all of the engines. Now we'll take a look here. Let's see if my trim button works here and we can adjust this trim. There we go. Close enough. Alright, that turned green, so I assume that won't kill us. Alright, the other useful hint here that I can give is how to set the transponder after you get clearance. You go down here to this keypad thing, and there's the thing that says SURV, S-U-R-V, and then here's your squawk code. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up say intentions, and we'll get a clearance like we're going to do the flight. And
National Airport, Information Foxtrot 0053 Zulu, wind 095 at 13, visibility 10, sky conditions, scattered at 2200 feet, broken at 2900 feet, broken at 25,000 feet, temperature 27, dew point 23, altimeter 2998, arriving and departing runways 9er,
alright,
8
so
right,
that's
1 2,
accurate.
8 left, visual approaches in use.
Clearance on 135.35. And you can see we have a little warning here. Serve exponder standby. Miami clearance. UPS 1544 Super on the ground, looking to pick up our IFR to Cali, Colombia.
UPS 1544 Super, Miami clearance. Cleared to Alfonso Bonilla, Aragon via the Maynard 3 departure. Then as filed, climb and maintain 12-1-2000. Expect flight level 390, 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 126.05, squawk 2642.
UPS 1544 Super is cleared to Cali via the Maynard 3 departure. Then as filed, climb and maintain 12,000. Expect flight level 390, 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 126.05 and 2642 in the box for UPS 1544 Super. Alright, so we're
UPS 1544 Super, read back correct.
So we'd go down here and we put in 2642 and we change that to auto. Alright, and I left the ignition on, so we'll back that to normal. Okay, that's off. TCAS is in standby for the
Ladies
ground.
and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome aboard our Airbus A380 on this thrilling adventure to Alfonso Bonilla Aragon International Airport. I'm Janet, your lead flight attendant, and I'm here to ensure you have a delightful experience. Or at least a tolerable one, eh? Our captain, Dan, is at the helm, and I must say, if flying were a sport, he'd be the one who trips over the finish line. So please stow your luggage in the overhead bins or under the seat in front of you. Take your seats according to your boarding pass. Fasten your seat belts and prepare for takeoff. Once again, welcome aboard. And remember, if you see the captain sweating, it is probably just the altitude.
She's not very nice to me. And just for her information, I leave the cockpit door closed, so you can't see me sweat. Alright, flaps are set to 3. Okay, that's good. Auto brake should be set to rejected takeoff. RTO. And seatbelt sign is on. And then my last step before calling ground is usually the takeoff config test. And it's going to go off because the parking brake's on, of course. If we turn off the parking brake, dumbass. Stop before we run into the building. Alright guys and gals, cats and dogs, thanks for sticking around and watching the video and checking out this FlyByWire Airbus A380 freeware. I'll put a link in the description where you can download this airplane for yourself and check it out. If you saw that I did something wrong or you have some advice or just want to say something, go ahead and leave a comment below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. And the next video will come out rather quickly. I probably won't wait a week to do the flight. The next video will pick up with calling the pushback and backing this big old bird out and getting her on the runway and getting her airborne. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching the video. If you're interested in the Say Intentions ATC, there is a link below. Thank everybody that used that link. If you do use that link to get your free 24-hour trial and you decide to keep it, it does help out the channel. And I appreciate everyone that has done that. There is also a link for the Beam Eye Tracker. I didn't use it in this video, but if you're interested in the Beam Eye Tracker, check that link out too. It does help out the channel. Until next time, see you later.